So let's get to it.
All right. Before we preview the MHSA hockey tournament, I want to touch quick about your top 25 rankings, your last ones. The top three stayed the same with Detroit Catholic Central at number 1, Heartland at number 2, and Howell at number 3.
I don't think too many people are going to argue about any of that. You know, Catholic Central, of course, lost to De La Salle. More on that in a second. But don't forget that Heartland mixed in a loss to Orchard Lake. And Howell's right there. Orchard Lake's right there. Flint Powers is right there. Johnny, I have felt the past few weeks in the state, I think there's a pretty solid number 5 right now.
Yeah.
And you could change those parts any way you like. I think it's CC at number 1, but you can mix and match the rest. And the best part about the playoffs is the opportunity for teams to say, we belong there and to prove it on the ice. But right now, I think if we're having that discussion, which we are, I think those are the 5 best teams in the state right now.
All right. Well, speaking of Warren De La Salle, you have them 12th in their rankings. They beat Detroit Catholic Central last week. CC had a 71-game in-state winning streak. The last team to beat them was Warren De La Salle in 2022.
Almost 3 years to the date. And, you know, we've been talking up what Coach LaRose has been doing for quite some time now. This is a dangerous team. Keep an eye on this team. Dylan Blackwood had himself a darn good season with 13 goals and 21 assists. And his brother right there, Connor Blackwood. It's almost like we timed that out. 5 goals, 8 assists on the season, but none bigger than that one to beat Catholic Central in overtime. Johnny Gavin, another fantastic season. We were on him last year. He's backed it up this season. Pilots are going to be tough to beat when the playoffs start.
And 5 teams cracked your final top 25 rankings at the bottom of your rankings. How about Northville, Rochester United, Alpena, Novi, and Forest Hill Central? Yeah,
Northville was already in. I really like this team. I've been talking them up for a while. Alex McCollum, I think a lot of people know about him. Tommy Marinoff just keeps getting better and better and better.
And
He's
Rochester
been there
United
3 years.
Debuted in the rankings.
6 straight. Grayson Heiser with a huge year. 27 goals, 25 assists. That's fantastic. Alpena's been in as well. There's a big 2 up front. Winterstein and Hamp. Boy, those kids can play. We saw it up north. Novi, welcome. This is a good team. I've talked up Londo for a while. I think that kid is a heck of a player. Teddy Donahue. Forest Hill Central, welcome back on that list. Gibby Grendel is absolutely explosive. Eli Lipke, Milok, one of 788 Miloks for Forest Hill Central. That's a dangerous team as well, a team looking to get back to USA Hockey Arena.
So our live show today, we're going to be previewing the MHSA hockey tournament. Before we do this, before we get going, I like to show the schedule of the remaining of the playoffs. So here it is on your screen right now. So the regional first round just happened. There's still a couple more games for next week. Then you got the regional semifinals, the regional finals on next Tuesday and Wednesday. And of course, the big one, the quarterfinals on March 1st. Then to cap it all off at USA Hockey Arena.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic Saturday. There's so many quarterfinal matchups that I think are just potentially dramatic, John. There's no other way to say that. And then, of course, Thursday night for D2. D3 gets underway Friday morning from USA Hockey Arena, and then D1 in the afternoon, and then Championship Saturday. It's such a great time. You see so many familiar faces, but most importantly, you see some fantastic hockey on the ice at USA Hockey Arena.
And I wanted to say one thing, that people get, with this new seeding format, they reseed once they get to USA. So don't rely on NPR, like, okay, the number 1's going to play the number 4. They actually have a committee that will seed the semifinals.
And I think that's a smart thing to do. I really do. People that have been paying attention all year, people that have been following the rankings and following the teams and things like that. So it works for everybody, John. And, to me, the ultimate goal should be, let's find a way to get the 4 best teams in each division there. And you know what the beautiful thing about it is, even if people don't think you're one of the 4 best teams, you have an opportunity to prove it. Go make your case on the ice, and that's what makes this so much fun.
All right, so let's get right into it. Let's start in Division 3. I made some brackets for you. You love brackets. So here you go. Division 3, Regional 17. They will start in a couple hours up in the UP, and How about the games tonight? Houghton against Hancock, and then you got Jeffers taking on Calumet.
You know, Houghton's been the class up there for so long now. They really have. It was Hancock for a while, then it was Calumet, and now it's Houghton. I think a lot of people are looking at this Houghton team and saying they might be susceptible, and maybe, just maybe, it's going to be Hancock. Stuckel had a really nice year. Make no mistake about that. You know they'd love nothing more with Houghton right now. You know, this is a team that, look, it's USA or bust. Calumet's a team that has steadily been getting better all year. Locust and Boberg, 31 points each, and Jeffers has lived up to the hype.
The JETS, Jets.
A lot of people talked about this team heading into the season, and Brett Heinonen, that top line, has been fantastic. How about this, 44 and 27 for Heinonen?
Wow.
Is that any good? So it's going to be really interesting to watch this Jeffers team because, John, you were privy to some of the texts and messages early in the year. People said look out for Jeffers, and they weren't wrong.
Yes, in our predictions, that you'll see our full predictions on our website, statechampsnetwork.com. We have Jeffers winning this regional.
Yeah, I think this is a team of destiny, and that top line is just too much. Let's wait and see how it plays out. Certainly Houghton's going to have something to say about that. The improving Calumet's going to have something to say about that. Hancock as well. But it's always fun up there in Copper Country.
Well, State Champs is going to be out there tonight for the 7 o'clock game between Calumet and Jeffers. And our own David Bodine, you know, look at that. Remember from the Lions season? Remember he became famous?
My guy right there.
So he might wear the cheese grater tonight.
And you see that look on his face? I don't think I've ever seen that human being without a smile on his face. Yeah. See, look at every picture. Find me a picture of David Bodine without a smile on his face. Great guy. So, David, appreciate your help up in Copper Country.
Yes. So, all right, let's get right into Region 18. Still in the UP. So, great games going on in that region as well. They're spread out across the state because obviously the travel in the UP.
Yeah, you know what, Nogany, I've been a big fan of the Miners. You know, they've made so much noise. I think they do such a great job on social media. Sault Ste. Marie, they are better than their record indicate, folks. Trust me when I say that. We had a chance to see them both in Traverse City and down in Trenton. I think they're better than their record indicates. Take a look at some of the wins that they have this year, Johnny. They knocked off Powers. They knocked off Orchard Lake St. Mary's. That is a big team and a dangerous team. And then Escanaba. Nice to see them take a step back.
They're like the top two favorites for this region.
Yeah, nice to see them take a step back up in the right direction. Graham Johnson with a big year, 28 goals, 30 assists, and Cully Hayes is a guy that has been on our list and a lot of people have talked about, so that could be a really intriguing region.
Yes, so you have the Sioux. We both have the Sioux winning this.
Yeah, I like the way the Sioux have come on as the season goes on. A lot of times, how many times do we say this? Don't pay attention to the overall record. I think this is a big team. If you saw them play, you'll know what I'm talking about.
And then Escanaba has a chance to win this region.
They certainly do, no doubt. You know, so much of it comes back with goaltending. They got a pretty good goaltender, but in the end, I'm going to take the Blue Devils.
All right, let's go to Region 19, and this is going to be in northern Michigan as well. They will start tonight with the one Sheboygan. John Watson's Sheboygans. They're taking on Gaylord, but you got Petoskey in there, and then you probably have the favorite in this region, the Bay Reps. They've been one of the teams up there the last few years.
Yeah, and you know, I know even with all their losses from last year, John, that is still a dangerous team. Lewis Walter had 15 goals, 12 assists. And let's not forget about Boynton Fisher. I think Boynton Fisher, once again in net, could make a case for being on the wall. He was earlier. I have a feeling we'll see his name again next year. But, John, how many times do we say it? Goaltending this time of year. And in my mind, I think Boynton Fisher gives the Reps a little bit of an edge. And oh, by the way, their last time out, they shut out that good Sioux team.
Yes.
Boynton Fisher got a 2-0 win over Sioux. So that's a dangerous team right now, are the Bay Reps.
And they've had experience getting to USA. They were there last year. So, you know, so they're poised to make a run. Even
with all their losses, I mean, for them to get back to this point, as I said, is really a testament. Great staff up there, classy guys. We got a chance to know them a little bit and see them up in Traverse City the last couple of years. But Bay Reps, keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, we stay in northern Michigan. Let's go to Regional 20. So this is a good one that will be starting on Friday. And we have Alpena taking on Tawas, Gladwin taking on that Freeland, Novell, Saginaw, Swan Valley team. But we saw Alpena up at the North-South Showcase.
Yeah, I had a chance to see them a few times this year. The Battle of US 23. I could stop at Friel's on the way up and then make my way over to Alpena to take in a darn good game. But I like this
Strong
Alpena team.
supporting class from their fans.
Yes, as I mentioned, Winterstein and Hamp are two really good players. I think they've played the right way. We've seen them, John, and wouldn't surprise me at all if Alpena didn't make a little run.
All right, let's go to, we're staying in Division 3. Let's now go to Region 21. A big win for the Big Rapids, no pun intended, over the Lakeshore Badgers yesterday. I want to give a quick shout out to Isaac Emberry. He got 100 points on the season, so congratulations to Isaac at Lakeshore. But they will be taking on East Grand Rapids on Thursday. You got Grand Rapids Christian taking on Grand Rapids Catholic Central, but East Grand Rapids, they've been to the state finals the last couple of years. Shout out to Chris Newton, the head coach at East Grand Rapids, back on the bench. They're ready for a run.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they want to take that next step, and there's so much to like about this team. I think, number one, their style of play. They go hard for Coach Newton. Brady Ross had a nice year, 16 goals, 22 assists. Remember Owen Stropkai, he was a stud a couple of years ago. We put him on the all-tournament team. He's back and healthy right now. And then you got Finch in net.
Yeah.
And listen,
a freshman.
I'm going to say it again, John. You know what? That's a tough region. It really is. That's a tough region.
Yeah.
I think Christian is a good team. Obviously, you know about Mike Slobodnik, and congratulations to Coach Blashill and what Big Rapids did. I love their jerseys. I think anybody that knows me knows
Canadians.
why. They got that Habs thing going on. But all jokes aside, listen, fantastic region. I just think a little too much Pioneers for everybody.
Yes, and we have East Grand Rapids winning that region. And how about in Region 22? Over at Orchard Lake St. Mary's, they will start tonight. This region starts tonight. We're going to have coverage of the game between Divine Child and Southline Unified. Shout out to Brandon McNamara for Divine Child, over like 140 career points. You know, I saw something like that over the weekend on Instagram. But Orchard Lake St. Mary's, you know, one of our top teams throughout the season. Just talk about them for a little bit, and then we'll talk about Lumen Christi in a second.
Yeah, I saw Southline Unified the other day. I think Gags is doing a good job, but you're absolutely right. That's the class right there. Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Rainish has had a huge year. He's only a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. 23 goals, 13 assists. Julian Johnston is a guy that you know was a mainstay on our list. So many coaches like him. Two different goaltenders that can do it for you as well in Keene and Shea. Certainly OLSM, the team to beat in that region. But Johnny, again, how many times have we talked about it? The G word, goaltending. Lumen Christi has one of the best in the state.
A Wall Award nominee.
Look out. That could
Zach Jokala.
That could be dangerous right there, and anything can happen. You get in one game, 51 minutes, anything can happen. But no doubt about it, I think to the surprise to nobody, Orchard Lake St. Mary's is the favorite in that region.
Yes, they have not won a state title since they tied the state championship in 2008 to Marquette, but they won the state title in 2005 against Flint Powers in Division 3.
A lot of good teams. They just haven't been able to put it all together this time of year. But make no mistake about it, heading into this tournament, I think they're the favorite in Division 3. Now, that doesn't mean the favorite wins. How many times have we seen it where the favorite doesn't win? But I think if we're being fair to the game and certainly fair to the Eaglets, they're the favorite in Division 3 heading into this tournament.
I have a feeling this is one of the best regions in Division 3, besides the one up north, is Region 23. You got the defending Division 3 state champs in Cranbrook, and you got De La Salle taking on Liggett. But you got two Wall Award nominees going at it on Friday night with De La Salle and Liggett. You got Weirman and Saskowski.
Isn't that fantastic? And let's start with Liggett. They have been in and out of our lineup. They've been ranked most of the year, but you nailed it. It's all about Ben Weirman. I mean, this is a guy that's gotten the job done. And again, when other guys are calling you and saying, hey, have you checked out this goaltender from Liggett yet? That tells you all you need to know. We touched on De La Salle and Gavin earlier, and John, they're going to be tough to beat. And speaking of goaltending, listen, Cranbrook, I know they lost a stud. They still have 2 stud goaltenders that they can throw
And they're
at you
the
in the
defending
playoff.
Division III state champs.
Did we mention that? Yeah, right.
Cranbrook, a private school. I had to throw that 8 Mile reference in there.
Timko up front. I really like DeSalvo. He was a kid that we were on our list. And let's not forget, earlier this year, they nearly knocked off
CC.
mighty Catholic Central as well before falling into overtime. I think Coach LaFontaine has the Cranes primed for another run.
Yeah, this was a tough decision for both of us, but we feel that Cranbrook's going to come out of this one.
Yeah, I think battle-tested, so many pieces that had been there. I think both these goaltenders rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
They want to be the guy that takes the next Cranes team on a magical run. Don't forget, so many pieces left over from that championship squad last year, so I like the Cranes.
And finally, Region 24 in Division 3. The regional semifinals are going to be tomorrow. You got Riverview Gabriel Richard taking on Birmingham Unified, and you got Grosse Ile taking on Detroit Country Day. Riverview Gabriel Richard, they were in the Metro, they were independent this past year, but this feels like a Metro League, region outside of Birmingham Unified.
Some good stories there. I'm going to start with BU if I can, John.
Shout out to Zach Warzen.
Yeah, Zach Warson did a good job this year, and I really like their social media game as well. Chase Hamlin has led the way with...
But first, let's talk about the game tomorrow, first off, between Country Day and Grosse Ile.
Yeah, you know what? DCD, Frank's got him going right now. How many times have we seen this? Coach Novak's got him going. And I'll tell you, Ryder Novak, one of the best players right there, 45 points in only 20 games. Ricky's such a great coach with Riverview Gabriel Richard. Venturini, 13 goals, 13 assists for 26 points. A lot to like about these matchups.
Yes, and Country Day, they got off to a slow start. They have picked it on from late. We have decided, they're going to win this region.
I like DCD's chances a lot. I really do. They've been a different team with Ryder Novak in. Not taking anything away from Grosse Ile, another fantastic season at 20-4 and BU, but DCD playing the right way at the right time. So I'm with you. I'm going to take the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, so this is now the time in our Division 3 prediction that we're going to predict who's going to make the Final Four in Division 3. So, Kevin, let's just roll it right now. It's pretty much the same, except I have Jeffers making it to the Final Four, and you have the Sioux going to the Final Four.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say it again. I think Sioux is peaking at the right time. I think you've seen them beat 2 of the best in the state. Pay no attention to their overall record. I have a feeling we're going to see Sioux at USA Hockey Arena. But, John, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jeffers.
Yes, and as we stated earlier, the semifinal matchups will be selected by a committee after the quarterfinals. Looking at this right now, Sean, what would be your dream semifinals? What would you see? Do you feel like it could be Cranbrook against St. Mary's?
Well, you know what? I guess that would be it. It's tough to say.
I put you on the spot. Yeah.
Well, it's tough to say. It's not so much on the spot. It's tough to say. I guess if I had to pick, it would be Cranbrook and St. Mary's and Cranbrook and Sault Ste. Marie and Orchard Lake St. Mary's and Alpena. That would be pretty cool to see, but all 4 deserving teams. I don't care what anybody says. You know what? You earn your way there, okay? This is period, end of story. You earn your way there. You have to win games to punch that ticket, and whoever does eventually get there, they earn their way there. Make no mistake about it.
Yes. So that is it for Division 3, but we're going to go back to Rockin' Rye Robbie. He's controlling our comments right now. He has a smile on his face because I have a feeling there are some comments right now.
Yeah, we have a very special human being to both of you. Mr. Patrick Julian says, "Hey, Sean and John, and everyone here on this channel, it is great to see you."
The Coach Patty.
Appreciate you, Patty.
But he also made a comment that every victory is earned in terms of Riverview Gabriel Richard.
Yes. And just talk about them over the last, probably the last decade.
They've been outstanding. Again, I think Ricky DeSanta has done such a good job with that team. They've had a few nice runs. You can never, ever count them out. That's a team that I think a lot of people were even counting out the last couple of years, and they find a way to keep punching their ticket. They find a way. To me, that's the staple, and that's the backbone of a hockey program. You know what I mean? And becoming one of the usual suspects. So, Coach Patty, everybody out there with the Pioneers, good luck to you.
One more question for you before we head to Division 2. I know we have talked about it in the past in our predictions about sleepers. You feel like, is there a sleeper out there? Is there like a Calumet, a Houghton that, I don't know about a sleeper because Houghton's been good, but who's going to make that surprise run? There's always that one team that's like, wow, they got the USA.
Yeah.
And who's going to be that in Division III?
I think a lot of people would say Jeffers. I know you took him to go through, but I think a lot of people would say Jeffers. And to me, the secret's out. If you've been paying attention, they've had enough big wins, and there's been enough buzz about them, and they backed it up. And it's been a great story, and this is why I love high school hockey so much. It's because of the stories like the Jeffers Jets and people talking them up. And you know what? Most importantly for them backing it up. Again, Brett Heinonen, 44 goals, 27 assists, man. I mean, that's studly. So that would be fun if Jeffers made that trip.
Yes, and obviously East Grand Rapids. We picked Orchard Lakes. Well, we picked Orchard Lake St. Mary's, but don't be surprised, East Grand Rapids is there.
There's no way you could call them a sleeper.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, they're a usual suspect now. I wouldn't. John, I'm telling you, my jaw wouldn't drop in any way, shape, or form if East Grand Rapids won that game. That's a really good team. We got a chance to see them up close and personal a couple times, including just last week at the OK Conference Championship. Coach Newton, they play the right way. They play hard. As I talked about, there are a lot of pieces to like about that team, whether it be a goaltender, whether it be a defender, whether it be Ross up front. A lot to like about that team. So I can't refer to them as a sleeper. That wouldn't even be an upset to me, right?
Yeah, it would be good. You know, if they do make it, it'd be great to see if they do win. They finally get over that hump to win the state championship.
Look how close they've been. It's amazing. I mean, 2 heartbreaking losses. It would be a fun story to see them take that next step.
All right, let's head to Division II, and we start in Regional 9 out on the west side of the state. And they start tonight. You have the game between Grand Haven and Hudsonville. Reese Puffer, they've been in your rankings a lot during the season, and, you know, we got to know the legend, Chris Givens over at Traverse City Central. Let's just touch on Reese Puffer in TC Central.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they went to USA last year in Division I, I might add. Hartzell and Taylor with 46 points each. Van Dyke in net. That is always going to cause you problems. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays itself out.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at Traverse City Central here. We saw them at the North-South Showcase. What do you like about this team? And then a little more about Reese Puffer.
I think there's balanced scoring. When you look at Traverse City, there's balanced scoring. McManus and Weaver leading the way, 27 points each. But as I said, they're balanced. And you got to play the right way for Coach Givens. Don't forget, this is a guy that he's won a few games in his career. We're talking over 450 games he's won. He's won a state championship. I think it was 2006, if memory serves me correct. So this is a guy that's been there and done that, and the Trojans are going to be tough for anybody to play come playoff time.
Yeah, this is going to be a highly competitive region here, and we are going with the Rockets of Muskegon Reese Puffer.
Yeah, you know what? There's that been there, done that aspect again. And as I mentioned,
getting to USA has a lot of stock.
Yeah, you can't put a price tag on it. And with Huck Van Dyke in goal, that's a pretty good goaltender. Anybody's game, but we're both going with the Rockets.
All right, let's head to Regional 10 on the west side of the state. This is probably one of the top regions in Division II. Granville got off to a great start on Monday. They beat the Portage Muskies. They await Matawan on Monday. And then you got the defending Division II state champs, Byron Center, taking on Caledonia. Let's take a look at both of these matchups that are coming up on Monday.
I'm going to start with Matawan. I had a chance to see them up close and personal.
Against Livonia Stevenson.
Gavin Welch is pretty darn good goaltender in net. Braden Lewis, I liked his game, 16 goals, 25 assists on the year, so they're going to be tough. And then Caledonia and Byron Center. Here we go with goaltending again, right?
Yeah, this was a great game a couple weeks ago for the OK Conference third place game.
You know what? You got Salle in one side, and then obviously Hogan the other. And listen, Karras in net for Granville as well. That's a really good team. Landon Smith had 47 points, so this is a crazy bracket.
Yes.
Dare I say the bracket of doom in Division II, where any of these 4 teams could make a case for coming out, John, and that makes a special region as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, three of these, actually all 4 of these teams have made your rankings throughout the season, but we are going to go with Byron Center, both me and you, the defending Division II state champs. They have that experience. What do you like about them going into next week?
Been there, done that. Braxton McKee, heck of a player, 19 goals. 13 assists. I think Goheen is a guy that maybe doesn't get talked about as well. 13 goals and 15 assists. And Jordan's won that title.
Yeah.
They finally, we talked about how close they came, and they finally got over the hump. And EGR, it's the same thing. They came so close a couple of years and, still haven't got over the hump. That's a team that did it. There's something to be said for having that championship pedigree. A lot of these young men were part of that, so that's going to make them tough to beat, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, we have talked about over the years here on Hockey Time. We've talked about Heartland. They were the cute story. They were just getting there and not getting over the hump. That was Byron Center up until last year. They got there, and now they're a usual suspect.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. If you keep doing it, guess what?
Yeah.
It's no longer a cute story. You're one of the usual suspects.
All right, let's go to Region 11 in Division 2. My bad. But we got the Bay City Wolves. They'll be awaiting the game between Midland and the Mid-Michigan Raptors on Saturday, And then you got Midland Dow taking on Marquette. What do you like about this region?
Let's start with Bay City. We had them in our rankings, and obviously we've talked about their goaltender, Nash Leonard, a lot. You got Weisenbach, who's got 15 goals and 15 assists to lead the way. Sean Daly, a nice year, 12 goals, 17 assists. By the way, in case you're keeping track at home, Sean Daly spells his name the right way.
The Daily Show.
Yeah,
the Daily Show with Sean Daly.
I'm going to tell you what, right now, all these teams, they've been a part of the rankings as well. We got a chance to see Dow. Nolan Harris had a really good year.
And Marquette, man.
23 goals, 24 assists, 47 points for Harris. And Marquette, battle-tested. Boy, did they play a tough schedule this year. They have a lot of different pieces that can hurt you. Sheldon with 22 points. Sandstrom with 18 points, and 2 goalies that can go for Coach Garrow. I think Marquette's going to be tough to beat.
So you're going with Marquette in this one?
Yeah, I am. I'm going with Marquette. I think they're going to be tough to beat. This is a flip-a-coin region as far as I'm concerned, but I think that schedule that Marquette plays has them ready for playoff, and I'm going to go with the Sentinels.
And I'm going to be different from you this time around. Our first, difference besides our Final Four, I'm going to go with the Bay City Wolves here. We got Nash, Bridges, Leonard, for the Wall Award. He's up for the Wall Award. They got the #1 seed. They deserved it. They won their games this year. Just talk about their play this year.
Yeah, you earn it. John, as I said earlier, this is a team that has earned their way. They've been knocking on that usual suspect door as well. A couple of years ago, they were a cute story, and now they're winning games, and they're competing, and they have guys putting up nice numbers. So, you know what? You earn that #1 seed. Now they have to live up to it. And that's a difficult part, but they certainly deserve that #1 seed.
Yeah, but let's go back to that region just for a second, guys. Because not only you got Marquette, and you got the Bay City Wolves, you got Midland Dow and Midland in there. It's going to be up for grabs.
Yeah, that's a really good. It's a really good bracket. It is, and I like that Dow took a step right back in the direction. And listen, Midland as well. I think they got 2 goaltenders that could cause some trouble for you. So that's going to be a fun region to watch.
Yes. All right. Let's continue on. Let's go to Regional 12 in Division 2. You got Milford taking on Saginaw Heritage tonight. We have talked about Alex Kozar from Milford. They'll await they'll await Flint Powers. Then you got Lakeland, who made it to the Final Four last year. They're going to take on Fenton Linden on Saturday. We have talked a lot about Flint Powers. You have a Warrior Hockey Player of the Year candidate in Let Aiden Cook, and then you got Hunter Clark, who's up for the Wall Award. And then we have talked about Coach Perry's son, Owen, the freshman for Powers.
Love that kid. Saw his game and playing on that top line. I had to text Coach Perry and say, boy, that's one heck of a player. Yeah. He really is. If you haven't seen him yet, one of a few.
And then what do you think of Cook?
He's fantastic. I mean, there's a reason why he's on the list.
And he's letting him cook.
Yes, no doubt. He's got his chef hat on and everything. But listen, let's not forget about Lakeland. Look, the perennial favorite is Flint Powers. Make no mistake about it. As we were talking about in Division 3, there's a reason why Orchard Lake St. Mary's is the perennial favorite going in. And I would say the same thing about Flint Powers, but that doesn't take away from the fantastic season that Lakeland had. As you mentioned, this is a team that made it to USA last year, doing a great job out there. They had a big win streak. Unfortunately, it got busted for them at the end of the year, but I'm going to tell you what, right now, that's a dangerous team. Just too much Powers this year. This is a loaded Flint Powers squad.
So with Lakeland, it goes back to if a goalie has a great night, anything could happen.
Yeah, you'd have to stand on top of your head to be sure. It would take a Herculean effort, I think, to beat Flint Powers.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to Region 13 and Port Huron Northern. Congratulations to Port Huron Northern. They had a big win on Monday night. They're going to be taking on Rochester United, who just made your rankings. And how about Rochester Stony Creek? They're going to be taking on your cousins' teams from St. Clair Shores Uniform.
Yeah, Dylan Smith, 12 goals, 13 assists for Stony Creek. Owen Smith in net. As you mentioned, Coach Rajewski, I'm not just saying this because he's my cousin. I think he's done a fantastic job this year. McKee leading the way. He's got 18 and 23. Gersh, 16 and 22. And RU, what a great story. I think Tucker Penning's done such a great job this year. This is a young team, John. And for him to get that young team going the way they have and to finish the season on a strong note with 6 straight wins, John, that deserves some love. And Coach Penning being the guy he is, he said, I'm not sure we deserve it. Yes, you do. You did a heck of a job with the young team, and they're going to be fun to watch not only in the playoff but moving forward.
And then what about Stony Creek? They made it to the quarterfinals a couple years ago with Steve Emery. They can make a run, and let's not forget about the other teams. Port Huron Northern. They've only won 3 games, but they did play in the tough MIHL.
Yeah, that is a tough thing. I'll reiterate again, Johnny, about Stony Creek. And Dylan Smith has had a nice year. 12 goals, 13 assists. Owen Smith in net, and there's something to be said about playing that tough schedule. So, no doubt about that. It's going to be fun, but this is one that's up for grabs. There's no doubt in my mind. No. It's tough to pick a winner in this one, but listen, these are the shows we have to try to do so.
Yes, and we're picking Rochester United to win this region.
Yeah, I am. I think there's something to be said about going into the playoff playing the right way and having a little win streak and everything. But I think there are a couple teams that might be able to get the job done in that one.
All right, let's just keep it going here on Hockey Time Live. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying this live right now on the State Champs YouTube channel. In Regional 14, we have games starting tonight. Ann Arbor father Gabriel Richard, our buddy Clint Robert, he won his 300 career game earlier in the season. They're taking on Farmington United. You got the Livonia Red Stallions, who made it to the regional finals last year. I remember that upset over Allen Park. They're taking on Skyline. They're going to be awaiting, so the winner of Red Stallions and Skyline will take on Dexter, and then Livonia Stevenson.
Yeah, it's interesting. Easton Hughes had a fantastic career for the Irish. I think that's going to be a tough one, taking on Stevenson. So much to like about Stevenson. I love their top line. We talk about Owen Hall for good reason. Christian Lang is another guy that I think is drastically underrated. Strobel on defense. A couple goaltenders that can get it done. So I think Spartans are the overwhelming favorite in that one, to be sure. And Quinn Pasco, I've seen him play so well for the Stallions in the past. Again, a goaltender can make all the difference in the world. When you're talking about one game, when you're talking about 51 minutes, when a guy stands on top of his head, anything can happen. If you've been around the game for any amount of years, you know that better than anybody. But look, make no mistake about it, especially in their own backyard. I think Livonia Stevenson's the team to beat. Yeah,
Livonia Stevenson hasn't won a state title since 2013, their only state title in 2000. They struggled a little bit here at the end, but with the playoffs, it's a new season.
Yeah, I think what was important for them to try to get back on track is to finish the season strong. And I think they beat that good RGR team 2-0 to finish the season. They're probably feeling good about themselves, but can't afford a night off in the playoff because you'll get bounced. I'll tell you what. I haven't seen them. I'm never going to tell you that I saw somebody that I didn't see, but I've heard a lot of good things about Dexter. And there have been a few people that said, if there's an upset, don't be surprised if it isn't the
so
Dexter
this is like the sleeper in this region.
That's what a lot of people have told me. Again, full disclosure, I have not seen them play yet, but I've heard that whispered from a few people, so let's see.
All right, let's go to Regional 15. This will be played at Allen Park, at the Allen Park Ice Arena, downriver. I know that area quite well. On Saturday, you got Brother Ice taking on Allen Park, and you got UAD Jesuit taking on Grosse Pointe South. And Sean, we saw Brother Rice last week against Brighton. They are peaking at the right time. They are looking to win their 3rd state title in the last 5 years.
I love their defense core. I really do. I think their defense core, they really, so much of what they do starts with their very active defense core. And then you got Roman Valer up front, who is just a flat-out stud. If you haven't seen the kid play yet,
More on them.
take the opportunity to do it. And Jude Manley, he was unbelievable the other night. You know, sometimes if you don't see a game, you see, a guy gave 5 goals up. What are you talking about? Brighton could have had 15 on the board. I mean, there were some.
It was 23-2 after the first period. And shots, not goals.
Not just that. I'm talking about quality scoring chances as well. They had a lot of quality scoring chances, and Jude Manley was outstanding.
And finally, in Regional 16, out in Trenton, this games will be starting tonight. You got Lenawee United taking on Woodhaven. They'll play the winner. They'll play Trenton. The winner plays Trenton. Then you got Wyandotte Roosevelt taking on Bedford. Obviously, we're going to talk about Trenton here in just a second. You know, shout out to Woodhaven. They had 0 wins last year. They got a few more this year. And don't count out Wyandotte Roosevelt.
You know, I'm going to tell you, taking a look at Roosevelt, Eli Harrell, 57 points on the year. Kid scored 44 goals. That's a cool thing about doing shows like this, Johnny, is you get a chance to put a spotlight on some guys that deserve
and Woodhaven, great season.
Evan Kelly in net for Wyandotte and Woodhaven. Great to see you step back up in the spotlight. But make no mistake about it, this is Trenton's region. I mean, this is a darn good team. Don't be surprised if they don't find their way to USA Hockey Arena again. Durbin, Civi in net, LeMay, Tinsley,
it could
Sparks,
go on and on.
Really, I mean,
Leone.
it's an outstanding lineup, no doubt about it. And look at those unis, by the way; those are just
Jada Jones
unis.
right there. Another one.
Just sharp unis as well. So, I think a lot of people are looking ahead to the potential Brother Rice Trenton matchup. That could be special.
Yeah. So we didn't say it in the last region, but we do have Brother Rice winning this region, and we have Trenton winning this region. So they'll play each other in the quarterfinal. But now it's time to announce who's going to make the Final Four in Division II. So Kevin, roll it right now. And we both have Brother Rice taking on Byron Center and Flint Powers taking on Livonia Stevenson. The Trenton people are like, no!
I just want to say for the record, I can't live with myself if I don't say this, and this is the old bit every single year. It is a crying shame that Brother Rice and Trenton are playing when they are in the playoffs. It's a shame. Something should be done about that. Something can be done about that. You're talking about 2 of the best teams in the state. And the people up in the UP have had to deal with this for years. I love this game. I love this product. We can do better. That's all.
All right. From Sean Baligian himself. But, hopefully down the road, in your conversation.
I'm going to get back on this in about 5 minutes anyway, so don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah, you're talking to someone from the Coaches Association in a few minutes here on Hockey Time. And let's bring back Rock and Rye Robbie. He's getting a nice stretch there. He has not opened up the Fago yet. I am shocked. That he hasn't done it yet.
The self-control is, it's kind of talking to me right now, I'm not going to lie. Hey, the legend, Barbecue Mike, he just wants to let you guys know you're looking good.
Oh, nice.
But we got a good question from Matt Mandarino, and we can just answer this based off the 2 divisions we've talked about so far. Who has had the most eye-opening season in each division?
Are you talking about team or individual?
We're going to talk about team.
All right. For me, again, I think there's a clear favorite heading into the playoff, and I'll go Division III. It is Orchard Lake St. Mary's and Flint Powers. No doubt about that. If you're talking about who kind of came out of nowhere, make no mistake about it, it's Jeffers. I mean, Jeffers might be the poster child for the state, even with guys telling us before the season started. Johnny, we talked about it our very first show when we were out at Novi. Even with guys getting in our ear, it's one thing to talk about it, Robbie. It's another thing to actually go out and live it. And I think I would choose them. And I'm going to give a shout out to Lakes area as well. Not just because I've been on their goaltender for a while, but they've gone out and backed it up. And I'm going to tell you again, Van Zweden is a stud. If you haven't seen him yet, When you watch them, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I think in my mind, those are a couple really good stories around the state.
Robbie, you have anything for us? Like a question from you. You love asking questions left and right here at the office while you're playing with your hair.
We haven't gotten to Division I yet, so he can't ask his obligatory Clarkston question.
Oh, my obligatory. Yeah, no. That'd be one of my questions. But I do got some more questions from the comments.
Oh,
from the
okay.
fans.
Let's go. Keep it going.
Well, James just said he has heard a lot about Dexter, so he's agreeing kind of with your upset prediction. Coach Patty wants to say that he has a prediction, and he predicts that Trenton will face Lenawee United.
Oh,
But he does say, however, if Woodhaven wins tonight's game, it will be the first in playoff history. Now, James, in the comment section as well, disagrees with him. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, I'll start with Dexter again. You guys, I swear I'm never going to be that. If I haven't seen a team play, I can't talk about them. I can read the numbers and things like that, and I will do that. But I had enough people whose opinions I trust and value tell me that the Dexter Dreadnoughts could cause some problems for Livonia Stevenson. Yeah. Lenawee, look, that's Trenton's region. I'm not being disrespectful to anybody else. It's all Trenton. Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it is. Yeah. And did I mention what a shame it is that Trenton and Brother Rice have to play each other at that point?
Yes. Maybe. But thanks a lot, Robbie. We're going to bring you back in a few minutes. But it's time for our Coach's Corner here on the State Champs Hockey Time Live. And Sean had a special guest, Ryan Ossemacher, the head coach at Northville, who's also the president of the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. Let's play it right now.
Earlier this week, we had a chance to catch up to Ryan Ossemacher, a man that wears many hats. We had an opportunity to talk about a bevy of things. Of course, Ryan, the head coach at Northville, also president of the Coaches Association. Ryan, really appreciate you taking the time. Playoff start. A lot of changes the last couple of years. Let's start there. Good luck to everybody, but certainly some changes in the last couple of years in regards to the way we do things.
So we used to, home team, for example, coin flip, which obviously in hockey there's a big advantage for home team getting the last change. So we've gone to higher seeded MPR home teams. Now we seed, so seeding is done by MPR as well. So hopefully we get our better matchups in the regional finals and things, as opposed to a couple of the top teams in the region playing right off the bat. So those are changes at the finals now, reseeding in the semis going into that. So taking some of that historical data through the season to reseed. So all good changes. Hopefully in the future we continue to make the game better. But those are good changes that we've had over the last few years.
What are some of the things that you guys are looking ahead? And I think what I've really liked the last couple of years, it seems like you guys have been proactive. And we've seen some much-needed changes. I'll say it, the coin flip is outstanding, but the work never ends for you guys. I mean, honestly, right before we started taping this, you were on the phone with another prominent coach. The work never ends. What are some things, some issues that you guys are looking at, I guess, into next season and beyond?
Sure. Our biggest topic right now is the idea of adding games to our regular season count. So through Hockey Committee, which was in December, through MHSAA, passed unanimously. So the next step for that is to go to Rep Council. We were able to get it on the Rep Council for this March. And then that's where a collection of ADs and principals and other invested members of the MHSAA make a decision on that. So we've spent a lot of time with research, historical data, comparisons to other states, and we're feeling confident. But we did last year too. Unfortunately, didn't go through, but we've done a little bit more work, a little bit more organized, I think, in this year's approach. So we'll find out, in the next couple months now if that will happen or not. So. That's the biggest thing on the forefront right now. More
games. That sounds cool to me. I think if you're watching this show, you probably agree with that. He is Ryan Ossemacher, of course, the president of the Coaches Association. Really appreciate everything they do for us here and really everybody all over the state of Michigan. And, of course, the head coach of Northville. Coach, I would be remiss putting on your Northville cap now. If we didn't talk about your Mustangs a little bit, I had a chance to see your game against South Lyon. So much to like about your team. I think everybody knows about McCollum. He's been just outstanding since the day he jumped on the ice. Now you add Isaac. I think Marinov is a young man. Boy, if you haven't heard his name yet, you will soon. How are you feeling about the squad heading in the playoff?
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I mean, as a coach, our biggest hope, right, is that you're better at the end of the year than you were in the beginning. And for us, our guys have worked so hard this year. It's an absolute joy, truthfully, to go to the rink and work with them every day. So in terms of where we're at, we're in a good spot. I mean, our region's excessively tough. We have Novi, a top 10 team. We have Brighton, another top 10 team. So I'm confident that we'll go out and we'll give it our best effort, and we'll see. But those guys you mentioned, I mean, besides Isaac and Mac, are two of the best D in the state, honestly. Tommy Marinoff, he's close to setting a single-season goal record at Northville. So we've got some guys who can play, and some of our depth players are just high character, high compete, and as a coach, like, just thrilled every day to go to the rink. And, you know, when you can say that, like, I'm bummed it's playoffs, because that means at some point in the next 3 weeks the season will be over. But it's a good group of guys.
One of the fun things for me, and why I love doing this at this level, is watching those guys jump in early and watching them grow in front of our very eyes. And I think that's something that we've seen the last couple of years out of the Mustangs. And certainly you have some young players now that maybe aren't what they're going to be in a couple of years, but certainly some pieces to be excited about moving forward.
Yeah, and that truly is why I love high school hockey, is that idea of growth and development, right? It's not a one-year thing. You don't have a kid for 6 months and then he moves on somewhere else. You have a kid for potentially 4 years, right? Tommy Marinoff, an example, he's been with us for 3 years and he's a junior. So to watch just the growth on the ice, but, you know, even more importantly off the ice, maturity piece, you know, growing up to be a quality young man, like that truly is, to me, is the biggest part of being part of a program in high school sports in general. So
one of the cool things, as I mentioned, he's a man that wears many hats. He's also involved in Team Michigan. If you haven't checked out Team Michigan, what are you waiting for? This is a perfect opportunity. Think about this. The best of the best in the great state of Michigan, from the junior class, from the senior class, all getting together, going and playing tournaments. And Coach, it's something that certainly we've been familiar with and had a chance to go out and cover. But for people out there that maybe aren't familiar with it, and let's be honest, some coaches and even some players that might have a special interest in this, talk about Team Michigan.
Yeah, absolutely. So just first things first, sign-up deadline is Sunday. So it's run through Maha Selects, and so this is our way of showcasing our best high school players. The format of it we've changed over the last few years to what is really an exceptional experience. So it starts off with a one-day tryout. We have 3 regional tryouts, one up in Gaylord, one out over on the west side in Grand Rapids, and one locally here in Livonia. They're the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right after the season ends, right after the state finals. And then from there we take what we believe to be the best 80 players. And this year something new actually is now sophomores can be involved. Awesome. So we're involving our sophomore class as well, so sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And we take those 80 players and we have a festival out in Chelsea. And that's the weekend after the state finals. And with that, we've had 4 teams, games, great competition, and then we select our top 20 seniors and our top 20 juniors and sophomores. And we go out to Minnesota. We have a training camp before, but we go out to Minnesota, play in the CCM NIT. Minnesota has 2 teams, North Dakota, Wisconsin has 2 teams, Colorado. And it's just it's a really high level of hockey. Our team from 2 years ago won it, and I think something like 15 of those guys are still playing hockey. You know, in my time doing it, I've coached over 40 guys who've moved on to play D1 college hockey, and it is truly it is our showpiece for high school hockey. So any of our top guys out there, they need to be there. It is kind of that need piece if they want to move on in hockey.
So many great players around the state. We've been fortunate to see them really all corners of the state. But, Coach, just a reminder, you have until Sunday if you want to be a part of this. You have until Sunday.
Correct, yep. And this is something that, you know, again, it's a one-day tryout, and then you get invited to the festival or not. And all the guys who are involved are volunteers. Like, these are high school guys that just want to give back to the game and want to provide our top players an opportunity to move on. This is in no way, shape, or form any sort of moneymaker. This is literally just get on the ice, show what you have, and let's represent Michigan in Minnesota, because when else can you say you get to represent your entire state? And it's a truly special experience, and I've been really fortunate to be part of it for quite a while now.
I'll tell you what, I can speak from the position of a fan. You go out there, I've seen some in Nova, I've seen some in Livonia. getting the best of the best on the ice at the same time. It's a special thing. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to do some more with Team Michigan as well here at State Champs the rest of the way. But, Coach, anything else while we have you? I mean, this guy, we have royalty in the house right now. Anything else you want to add? Let the people know before the playoffs get underway. I'm going to say it again. Best of luck to all of you out there.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add is just to thank you guys because, the high school hockey brand and product, we owe a lot to State Champs and Sean and Jay Kidd here for pushing our product, showing to the masses what we really have because I think there's a lot of us that just understand how truly special high school sports are, and in particular for us, high school hockey. So thank you for all you do for us.
And thank you for all you do. I think everybody out there knows how much Ryan Ossenmacher gives to the game. Great to see you. Best of luck to the boys. Ryan Ossenmacher, the head man at Northville, of course, president of the Coaches Association, on our Coaches Corner.
Well, thank you very much, Coach Ossenmacher, for taking the time to talk to Sean Baligian here on Hockey Time. And we're going to talk a little more about Northville in just a second, but let's get it going in Division I, Region 1, our preview. Let's roll the bracket right now, Kevin. And we're going out to the west side. So tonight we have Traverse City West taking on Forest Hills Northern Eastern. Winner of that game takes on Sparta. And then you got Muskegon Motor Shores taking on Rockford on Saturday. And let's talk about Traverse City West, Sparta, and Mona. We have talked about them a lot over the years on Hockey Time.
TC West has two studs on their blue line. If you haven't seen either one of them, take the opportunity to just do that in Ray and Charlin. Alonso certainly has had his moments in nets. He's certainly been really good, John, when we did their games. Sparta, Caden Gleason's a name that's been on the radar for a couple of years now. Another nice year, 21 goals, 16 assists. Trevor Vance, pretty good goaltender.
Mona Shores, great.
Mona Shores, Nathan Tilden, 20 goals, 26 assists. Yeah. Eli Habitler, 18 and 27. Brady Tilden, 18 and 24. Yeah. Coach Benedict, a heck of a coach as well. I love the Sailors unis. Yeah. I've said that again. I think that's just a great look, kind of like that baby blue, that double blue type of thing. So, that's going to be an interesting group there.
Yeah, so Muskegon Motor Shores hasn't won the state championship since 2000 in Division II. They made it to the Final Four a couple times. Do you see a run in them? Because we have them picked to win this region.
I think a lot of things would have to go right, but when you have the firepower that they have, and there's a look at the Tilden boys right there, the above forementioned.
They love you. They love you. I'm just letting you know. They love you.
Do they really?
They really love you.
Shame on them. Yeah. But listen, all jokes aside, listen, it was great to see them play in person, and Sailors, boy, those unis are great. Show me do you have the light blue? Can you find some B-roll of that? Is that what it's called, Johnny?
You're B-roll.
B-roll. Yeah. Find a little bit of that B-roll with that blue jersey. Yes. That jersey is unbelievable. I'm serious. But best of luck to everybody in that region.
Yeah, and let's now go to Region 2 in Division 1. We are staying out on the west side. And tonight you have Kalamazoo United taking on Howland West Ottawa. Then you got the Kalamazoo Eagles taking on East Kentwood. And then you got Forest Hills Central and Jettison waiting in the regional semifinals. And Sean, let's talk about Forest Hills Central. They made it to the semifinals a couple years ago. We saw them a few times this year. What do you like about Coach McSween's team this year?
I like that Coach McSween wasn't afraid to schedule some of the big boys. I don't care what anybody says. There's something to be said for battle-tested. I've seen it time and time again. I like that guy a lot. You know
Gibby
that.
Grandel.
Number 24.
And the 8,000 Melox have gone.
Boy, is he's special. And keep an eye on 13. He's a special player. And don't forget about 2 as well in Eli Lipke.
Yeah.
I think... no doubt about it. No disrespect to everybody else in that grouping, but prohibitive favorite are the Rangers in that group.
Yes, so we have Forest Hills Central winning that region, and let's move to Mid-Michigan now for Regional 3. Excuse me, and congratulations to Tri-Valley. They beat Jackson United 6-2. They're going to take on Howell, and then the Capital City Capitals is taking on Eastside Stars. This game from a couple years ago, as we're going to play right now, this felt like it went to like 8 million overtimes. And it was like, what, a 1-0 game? It was a couple years ago, right?
As I said, pack a lunch. These two teams, we might be there for a while. They've played some epic games over the years. Make no mistake about it. How about Brick for the East Siders? 43 goals, 16 assists. Olger with 9 goals, 25 assists. Joe Ford's done such a great job with Cap City. Chase Potter, 19 goals, 25 assists. Sean Story, who doesn't spell his name the right way, but he's a heck of a goaltender. He's got wall potential moving forward as he's only a junior, so that should be another epic game. But John, the Highlanders are one of the best teams in the state. I've said it for
another
a while.
KLA strong team in this playoffs.
Yeah, in so many different ways to hurt you.
And before I get to it, shout out to Keith Robertson for the amazing job he has done his first season as coach for the Highlanders.
Probably deserves Coach of the Year. I have no problem saying that. Sturos is outstanding, one of the best freshmen in the state in Pittilla. You've got Wolf. I really like that kid. I've watched him really turn into a good player, number 24 right there. And you got Lansky.
Wall.
Watch this kid play. Yeah. He doesn't have a heart. There's no heart in him. You see kids, worried on. Like it's amazing. He plays with a cool, calm demeanor that certainly I think it comes out from the back of the net. It's been a lot of fun watching him, John, and this Howell Highlander team.
Yes, and we picked Howell to win this region. They haven't made it to the Division I state title game since 2010 when they played CC twice in 2009 and 2010. Before we go into the next region, what do you see their potential with Howell?
They can go all the way.
Yeah.
I'm not joking when I say that. Yeah. Look, is CC the favorite? Yep. Heartland. Is Heartland probably number 2? Yep. But I watched Howell give Heartland all they could handle in person. This is a Howell team. I'll go back to their goaltender. And I hope that you guys know I say that respect. He doesn't have a heart.
Yeah.
Like he's not like he's not beaten. He doesn't look panicked in any way, shape, or form. He's just going out there like a cyborg and making stops left and right. It's really been fun to watch him play a couple times this year, Johnny. And so, again, you hear me say it so many times. When you have that goaltender, man, you give yourself a chance each and every year.
Yes, and now let's go to Regional 4. And this is like in the mid-Michigan area, but Lake Orion, they had a 4-1 win over Grand Blanc yesterday. And how about this one? North Oakland. That's not a typo. That was 10-9. That was like your old-fashioned Smythe Division hockey game out in Edmonton on a Saturday night.
Yeah, I was going to say Dale Howarchuk had 6 points for the Jets, and Håkan Lube had 5 points for Calgary. Yeah. You kids ask your parents who those players were.
Yeah, so congratulations to North Oakland. Now they're going to play the Genesee County Generals. That was formerly a Davison. And you got Clarkston taking on Lake Orion. Clarkston, they made it to the Division I state semifinals last year. They crept up in our rankings. What do you like about this year's team?
I'm going to say the same thing about Coach Breyer that I just said about Coach Robertson. I think he deserves Coach of the Year consideration. I think a lot of people kind of wrote this team off based on some of their losses from last year. And you know what? It took them a little while to get going.
I noticed a big smile on Robbie's face when we were just talking about Clarkston here. So, Kevin, can you just cut to Robbie right now? Because he's a proud Clarkston alum right now. He's blushing right now. But, I just had to say, because he had a big smile on his face because it's Clarkston.
Well, he should. Damian's had a big year, 17 goals, 22 assists. Lynch and Stanek with 32 points each. Coach Breyer's done a fantastic job. And again, listen, they've turned into a usual suspect. They're not the cute little story anymore. Yep. You have to pay attention to what Clarkston's doing.
Yeah, so we both have Clarkston winning this region, and they will be taking on Howell in the quarterfinals. But we're going to just keep it going because we're only talking about the regionals right now. And let's go to Regional 5 out on the east side. Don't sleep on the east, right, Sean? You have Lance Cruz Unified taking on Anchor Bay tonight. You got Romeo taking on Utica Unified, but you got Chippewa Valley United. You got Utica Eisenhower in here. Let's talk about Romeo, Chip, Ike. They've been in your rankings. 3
teams that it really were this close to getting in the rankings at the end of the year as well. I think with Romeo, I talked about this earlier in the year. Landon D'Angelo has gone the whole year. What a fantastic year he has had. Drew Basha is leading the way with 20 goals and 16 assists. I've seen Chip Valley a couple times over the course of the year.
Stas.
They've got some big wins this year over some ranked teams as well. No mistake about it. As you mentioned, Staskowski, 13 goals, 21 assists. They've had a good year. My mind, I think Ike is the team to beat. They came really close. I almost did.
What do you like about this year's team? Obviously, I had to get used to that. Bob Hall's not on the bench.
Yeah, that's strange. Hotchkiss, 18 goals, 15 assists. Farr, 10 goals, 21 assists. And I'll tell you what, Holmes, really good year. Take a look at these numbers. This is wall-worthy. 210 goals against and a .929 save percentage. I almost did the obligatory, John, two teams at 25 and included Ike.
The tie.
But this is, John, I'm telling you right now, this is a dangerous team. And in one man's opinion, I think they're the favorite in that group.
All right, but I'm going to go with Romeo. So let's roll the footage from a couple weeks ago. So shout out to our directors, Chuck Pellerito. He shot this game a few weeks ago for us. They came back from 3-0 down against Ike to win 4-3 to win the MAC Red. I just think they're on a roll as they head into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they're two teams, if I'm not mistaken, they played twice already this year, so this will be the rubber match. So, yeah, it'll be fun to see how it plays itself out. Bulldogs, of course, a team the last couple years starting to make some noise.
All right, so let's now go to Regional 6. This is the region that everybody is talking about. But first, tomorrow night, you got Bloomfield Hills taking on Troy United, and you got Lakes Area United taking on Walled Lake United. We have talked a lot about Lakes Area. More on that in a minute. But everyone is talking about the #1 ranked team in Detroit Catholic Central against the #2 team in Heartland. Could they play in the region? But first, before we get to that, can Lakes Area Unified change this up a little?
When you have a goaltender like Jacob Van Zweden, you're giving yourself a chance. And I know this for a fact because I've had coaches say this to me. I've had a few coaches say this to me. I'm never going to say who, but I'm glad we're not seeing that team. I'm glad we're not seeing that kid. He has been
what a great
stud.
season for the Lakes.
Really, across the board. But, you know, John, so much of it, the confidence goes out. It starts in your goal, and the confidence goes out. And all of a sudden, defenders say, all right, maybe I can go jump in this rush and try to activate some offense because I know I got that guy in back of me. And the guys stay a little bit longer trying to create some havoc in the attacking zone because you've got that guy. So I wouldn't want to face him in the playoff, but Heartland, listen, they got a pretty darn good goaltender as well.
In Sabala.
So that could be an epic matchup.
All right, before we get to our prediction for this, say if it does happen, it's Detroit Catholic Central and Heartland. Roll that B-roll. We have covered both of these teams at most this year. You know, top 2 teams in the state. You said earlier about Brother Rice and Trenton. Here's your take now on Division 1.
This is 50 times worse. There's not a soul that thinks this is good for the game. Not one. I'm sorry, we have to do better than this. There's nothing good about this, you guys, and I love this game. I love this product. I love the people that run it. This is no disrespect to any of that. Find me a human being that thinks it's a good idea to have the bona fide #1 taking on the bona fide #2. It's a tragedy, especially that should be the game that you basically showcase to everybody, not just in the state, but to those watching down in Ohio or Indiana or Minnesota or Wisconsin and say, this is the best of the best. And it should be at USA Hockey Arena. This is a shame. This is, as far as I'm concerned, I've complained about this so many times in the year. I'm never going to stop. I'm never, ever going to stop. This is the worst one yet. I feel sorry for those kids at Catholic Central. I feel sorry for those kids at Heartland. I feel sorry for 2 guys that I love with Coach Cal and Coach Gadwa. Guys, I'm sorry. I really am. And I think I'll speak for everybody in the state. It's a travesty that you guys have to play at that point in time. I don't want to miss a game. I mean, but this is a game that should be showcased to everybody at USA Hockey Arena. We have to do better than this.
So they will have to play this game when they do make the regional. We have to make a prediction on this. And what's going to be your take on this? It's just because we have talked, like, if it's a tight game, does it go to Heartland? If CC gets out to a few goal lead, is it CC? We are both going to pick Detroit Catholic Central to win this game.
I'm going to tell you why I'm going to pick Detroit Catholic Central. And it's something, John, that I know you used to bust on me for saying, but I think you understand this now. It's the D word.
The depth.
You just roll those lines. They keep coming. They keep coming. They keep coming. Now, I will throw this caveat in there, okay? If this game's close, mid-third period, if this game's tied, I love Heartland's chances. And not like, I love Heartland's chances. If this is a 2-2 game, if they weather that storm, right, for 41, 42 minutes, and this is a 2-2 game, in that great arena out there with those great fans out in Livingston County, if they weather that storm, especially with the goaltender they got between their net, I love Heartland's chances. It's about what can you do, in my mind, John, what can you do in the first 40 minutes of this game? Stay close. Do your best to keep things tied up. But I think in the end, just too much from Catholic Central.
All right, so we got to keep it moving. You know, that was a good couple-minute conversation.
Can I talk for just a second about what a travesty it is that Catholic Central and Heartland are playing at that point in time?
But we have to keep moving on here, Sean, on Hockey Time. And we got to go to Regional 7 out at the Novi Ice Arena. Congratulations to Salle and Novi for winning their regional first round. Salle will be taking on Brighton tomorrow, and state champs will be out at the game between Novi and Novi against Northville at 5 p.m. Kevin Trozinski, our director, will be taping that game. It's the battle of the defensemen. Alex Mack, McCollum against Londo. We've gotten, Instagram messages about Londo wanting to be in the top 10. What do you see in this one? Well,
I've talked up Londo for a while. I remember talking him up last year. He's tremendous. I really do. Northville has two really good defensemen, and a guy that joined the team later in the year. McCallum, we know about him. Isaac Nelson, if you haven't seen him play, he is a special watch. That's a special rivalry. We did that game last year, Johnny, if you remember, the night before Thanksgiving. The Battle of Baseline is special. I have a front row seat. Like I'm literally.
Hey, he only has to go like a minute, I think. A minute, I think. But I know I have my drives to trend, so it evens out.
I can walk out my front door and all of a sudden I'm in Wildcat territory. Although we live in Mustang territory, I can literally walk out my door. Right across the street is Wildcat territory. So it's a heck of a lot of fun. Coach Leach has done such a good job with this Novi team. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen in a rivalry game. Make no mistake about that. But, Johnny, I think a little bit too much from Northville in this game. I love Tommy Marinoff's game as well. He's been there the whole time. I think that's a guy to keep an eye on. Kid can put the puck in the net.
Also in that region is Brighton. And how many years have we said it? Brighton is Brighton, and especially right now. I saw an article in the Detroit News, they interviewed Kirk Cavisto and a couple of the players today. They had a tough little stretch, in early winter, but they have picking up during this time, but Brighton's Brighton.
Yeah, Peterson, Davatilla up front, love him. I mean, I've said it for 2 years. I think Watkins, one of the best defenders in the state. Keep an eye on number 7. They are a different team when that kid's in the lineup. He's been injured because it's a type of game that he plays over the course of his career. But when 7 is in the lineup, that is a different team. And that's why I implore people out there, and John Watson's in here, if you're interested in sponsoring a Defenseman of the Year award.
The Larry Robinson Award, right? The Larry
I'm
Robinson
not going to argue if you call it the Larry Robinson Award. But
Danny DeKaiser.
Contact John Watson because I think there are a ton of defensemen in the state that maybe don't get the love they deserve. Ty Kraut's another one from Heartland. We were just talking about Heartland.
And Londo.
There are two in Northville. There's Londo. There's Watkins.
Leone and Trenton.
And there's another one. There's some kids that don't get the love that they deserve that certainly the 2 kids I mentioned earlier at Bay Reps. I mean, they got 2 studs back there. But Watkins is one of those guys. And Reese has been solid in net. And by all accounts, kind of getting better as the year goes on as well. So look out for the Bulldogs.
So that was a very good sales pitch by you, Mr. Baligian, for the defenseman of the D-Man Award.
Yeah, you know what? To me, it's about recognizing the guys that are getting it done. And unfortunately, sometimes when you talk about Player of the Year, in my mind, it's sad. You kind of put the D-men on the back burner. I think it'd be great if we could recognize them by their own merits as well.
Yeah. And finally, one last region in Division I, Region 8. Let's roll it right now. And congratulations to Canton and the M1 Griffins for big wins last night. But Plymouth will be taking on Canton tomorrow. And then you got Salem taking on the M1 Griffins. M1 Griffins, a player of the year candidate, and Charlie Price, going up against that big line for Salem, Kaminsky, Chapit, and Patel.
What a great career for Charlie Price. He has conducted himself with class, 20 goals, 23 assists, 43 points on the season. Pretty good goaltending as well with Todd Butler. But, John, I told you this. I know I texted you this. The first game that I saw Salem this year.
The Butler did it.
The first time I saw Salem this year, I said then, I texted you that night when we were out at the Hull game, that might be the best line in the state. And I stick to that. I think you put those three together, Kaminsky, Patel, Chapit, I think all of them on their own certainly possess a little flair and pizzazz.
And what about this game between Canton and Plymouth tomorrow night?
Well, you know what? How about Schley? He's had a huge season, 50 points on the year. Cam James had 41 points. And Plymouth has done such a good job. We've seen him a few times. They play hard. Irvin, 11 goals, 24 assists, 35 points. So, hey, listen, that's one of those rivalry games as well. I mean, one of those battle for the park types of situations as well. So, Canton and Plymouth should be fun.
So, before we make our prediction on who wins this region, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's going to win these semifinals on Thursday?
Which semifinals are you talking about?
These regional semifinals. Is it going to be Plymouth against Salem for the regional championship?
I think so. I think it's going to be another battle of the park, and I'm going to take Salem there.
Yeah, we take Salem.
Boy, that line is just they're dynamic.
Just talk about the big difference that Kaminsky has made on that line.
Well, I think Salem's been dangerous the last couple of years, but adding Kaminsky to the mix, Chapit's a kid that we talked about last year, and rightfully so. Patel's a kid. Remember, as a sophomore, we interviewed him.
Nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, he was a player of the game wearing the number 9. Unfortunately, he got banged up last year. You put Kaminsky on the line, as I said, adds a little more pizzazz, and as a unit, those guys have been outstanding. Make no mistake about it.
All right, so here are our predictions to make the Final Four in Division I. Let's roll it right now, and we have the same. Brighton, Detroit Catholic Central, Forest Hill Central, and Hull. As we said earlier in the show, we won't know the semifinal matchups until after the quarterfinals. That's when the committee gets together to pick the semifinals. But this, we have talked about, Heartland and CC, but if this happens, what great games potentially?
Oh, it'd be fantastic. And a battle of Livingston County, John, could you imagine a potential battle of Livingston County?
Now, if Heartland beats Detroit Catholic Central, you could have the potential of 3 KLAA teams in the Final Four.
There's a lot of good hockey being played out in Livingston County. I hope everybody realizes that. They've done a great job of producing players out there for quite some time. Certainly a lot of them waving that Finnish flag out there. Make no mistake about that. But John, it would be phenomenal. But hey, listen, I'm not going to detract from that Forest Hill Central team either. I mean, they've toughened up their schedule. They're battle tested. They're another team. Don't pay so much attention to their record. Take a look at who they've played this year. That's a pretty good Ranger team.
And I think a sleeper for me in Division I, if that line from Salem just keeps it going, I can see Salem at USA.
No doubt about that. Listen, when you possess, again, arguably, because I think you might have some other opinions out there, when you possess arguably the best line in hockey, you got an even money chance. No doubt about that. How much goaltending are they going to get? People are going to be focused on that line, trying to shut them down, trying to get them off their game as well. But it's going to be a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it.
All right, so we're going to go back to Rock and Rye Robbie. He has a big smile on his face. I think there's some comments now loading up here about Heartland and Detroit Catholic Central and some other ones. I think he opened up the Fago. Did he?
No, I don't see any red
it's
teeth
not
yet.
opened yet. We can show that on the camera. But Sean, our great friend here at State Champs, Coach Kirk Hunter, wants to join the Army. He is talking about the Heartland CC Regional and says that if it's all about travel, then why does Marquette have to travel 230 miles for their region?
What do you what?
No, this is
What do you want me to say? So I've had these conversations. Find me a coach, one coach that won't say, where do you want me to go? I've always felt it's a convenient excuse. It's not coming from the coaches. Johnny, you remember Dan up at Hancock when they won the championship was talking about winning the championship and said, when I hear people talk about travel, they're at the tip top of the state. And his mentality always was, where do you want me to go? Where will you have me to go? And I know Dougie Garrow feels the same way. No doubt in my mind. I haven't talked to Coach Garrow about it. No. There's no doubt in my mind that Dougie feels the same way because he's scheduled everywhere anyway. Yeah. He had an incredible schedule that took him all over the place and sometimes playing 3 games in 3 days. So I think when people throw that out as an excuse, Coach Hunter, I agree with you quite often, and here's another time I'll do it. I don't buy that. I think that's a convenient excuse. And again, I think it comes to the detriment of 2 incredible teams who undoubtedly, I don't think anybody will argue this year, we're 1 and 2 in this state. And that's a shame. We all lose.
Yep. All right, so we're going to actually take a break here on Hockey Time because we have to update in the Warrior Hockey Player of the Year on the wall, and we have a change, Sean. So you want to stay tuned for that. So coming up here on Hockey Time is our Wall Award and Player of the Year update.
Is that kid any good?
Yes.
Look at that. Is that kid any good?
You'll find out in a
Some
sec.
talent all over the state.
If playing college sports is your dream, don't wait for a college coach to find you. Recruit yourself. At Lawrence Tech, we're looking for student athletes. LTU competes in the NAIA with 24 varsity sports and athletic scholarships. Explore new degree programs like sport management, where sports meets cutting-edge education. Visit LTURecruitYourself.com and just fill out the questionnaire. It's that easy. Lawrence Technological University. Be curious. Make magic.
At Alto Equipment, we know when it comes to getting your job completed on budget and on schedule, uptime matters. Alto Equipment has partnered with the biggest names in construction, including Volvo, Leeboy, Sennebogen, Avant, ASV, and more to provide the state of Michigan with industry-leading service and support. Alto Equipment services all makes and models, and their technicians are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Do you have a big project? Alta Rents has you covered with the most diverse rental fleet in Michigan. Give them a call at 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
Out here, it's not just about the hustle. It's about breaking the game. Every single day. Zeroing in on what we want, putting a target on it, and hitting the bullseye. Over and over again, because second best, that's for somebody else's story. The fire that fuels us, the bond that unites us, we don't just play the game. We set it ablaze. We break through.
Welcome back to State Champs Hockey Time, and it's time now to update you guys in the Warrior Hockey Player of the Year and Wall Award update. So Sean, for the Wall Award, the top 10 stays the same, and we thought about a change, but we're going to hold off until after the regionals.
I like that you did that too. That was kind of a John Kidd creation. Let's wait a little extra longer.
Usually we freeze it now, but I'd say let's give it a little bit.
I think there are a couple guys knocking on that door. I can think of 2 guys right off the top of my head without mentioning any names that are knocking on that door. So let's see how things play out.
Yeah, so what do you think about this top 10 going into the playoffs?
I feel really good about that list. And again, I remind people of this all the time. This is not a John Kidd list. This is not a Sean Baligian list. This is a list that is compiled with the help of coaches all over the state. And when I say all over the state, I mean all over the state. There are guys that maybe aren't on our quote-unquote committee that reach out to me and say, hey, have you thought about this guy? Have you thought about that guy? And I can't tell you the amount of times, probably 9 out of 10 times, a guy's bringing up a kid that doesn't play for his team, but plays for somebody else's team. And that goes to show you the caliber and character of a lot of the coaches in this great state.
All right, so we're going to show you our top 10 once again, and you can cast your vote at statechampsnetwork.com. And we're going to freeze our top 10 after the regionals. So So you can still continue the vote because as of right now, Sam Hogue from Caledonia is leading the online vote. So he'll be never removed from the top 10. So that is the Wall Award. So now it is time for our Player of the Year update. And we have a change, a guy that's coming back onto the list. It is Roman Valere. I call him the Fresh Prince of Valere. Out of Brother Rice, he is off to a great, he has came on. That's why he's back on this top 10.
He was fantastic down the stretch, and it's not just the numbers that he puts up, John. It's the amount of minutes that he plays and the way he plays those minutes. That game that we did last week against Brighton, arguably the best player on the ice. 15 goals, 22 assists, and a lot of what he does isn't defined just in points. And that's what I tell people all the time. The points are nice. I'm never going to disrespect a guy for putting up points. It's how he plays, where he goes on the ice. And I think Roman Valere is a guy that does a little bit of everything and certainly deserves to be back on this list. We say it every year. Listen, just because you come off the list doesn't mean that you can't go back on the list. If a guy picks up his play, I think Roman Valere and Brother Rice as a whole picked up their play as the season progressed.
Yes, and we're going to be freezing our top 10, and we will definitely have to look into our criteria soon. So we're going to be whipping up that criteria right now. So let everybody know once again, because we say this each and every week, that this is our criteria that we go by every year for our awards.
Yeah, it's huge. And you know what? I feel really good at the end of almost every year. I'm not going to mention any years, but I feel good at the end of almost every year with who we picked. And you know what? Especially, John, I can't tell you how many times we all went into that final weekend at USA Hockey Arena, and we all said, Rock and Rye Robbie, undoubtedly the player of the year. And then Chuck P goes off for 3-2 one game, and then 2-4 the next.
Or you can say like Peter Rosa a few years ago, 5 goals. In the
kind of remember that performance. So, and no doubt about it. And it made it a no-brainer. And I'm not joking. Like every guy that we talked to, every coach that we talked to said the same thing. Hey, Peter Rosa made that really easy on everybody. So he's our only back-to-back winner. And boy, he really cinched it up that final weekend.
Yeah, so here's our top 10 again for the Warrior Hockey Player of the Year, and you can cast your vote at statechampsnetwork.com. And congratulations again to Roman Valere, the Fresh Prince of Valere, for making it back onto our top 10. And that was our Warrior Hockey Player of the Year and Wall Award update. So we're going to have our final thoughts on the show, and that's coming up here on Hockey Time. So we're going to have our final thoughts. So more to come here on Hockey Time.
Attention State Champs Nation! Applications are open for the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation's Male and Female Michigan High School Athlete of the Year Awards. Are you a recognized or projected first-team All-State athlete this school year? Do you maintain a 3.0 GPA or higher and lead through your school or community volunteer work? We want you to apply. 12 finalists, 6 male, 6 female. Each will receive $1,000 for college expenses. 2 winners will take home $5,000 each. The 28th High School Athlete of the Year Awards will be held Monday, June 2nd at the Detroit Athletic Club and stream live on the State Champs Sports Network. Don't wait. Applications close Saturday, March 15th. You can't be nominated if you don't apply. Go to dacathleteoftheyear.com. That's dacathleteoftheyear.com.
Looking for a score, a schedule, a story? MHSAA.com has you covered. Our newly redesigned website has everything you need to follow high school sports in Michigan. And it's optimized for mobile use. Fans can submit scores on a Friday night, check playoff pairings and game times, or read about the student athletes from your community. Your first stop is MHSAA.com. Connect with us online and get everything you need all in one place.
And And welcome back to State Champs Hockey Time, presented by our friends at the Alta Equipment Company. I'm Jonathon Kidd, along with Sean Baligian. Our final thoughts on this almost 90-minute show. We kind of was in the ballpark on how long this was going to be. We said 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 90 minutes, maybe 3 hours. So we met in the middle for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was a heck of a lot of fun. There's so much to like about this hockey in this state and what the MHSAA does and what you guys do. I say it once, I say it 1,000 times. It's all about the guys who go out there and put on their school's jersey, and it's all about the greatest game on earth. So really looking forward to these playoffs.
So I'm going to put your coach cap on. What would you say to these kids right now as they approach their first playoff game?
This is going to be with you the rest of your days. Just every time that you step on the ice, it may be the last time that you're playing at a competitive level. Now, I know a lot of these guys are going to move on, and we talk about that all the time. There's nothing like watching these guys move on to the NAL or the USHL or the OJ and on to college and sometimes on to the NHL. But for a lot of these kids, John, this is really the end of their competitive career. And that's what I would say. I would say, guys, go out the right way. Don't. You're only going to think about this the rest of your days, right? So make sure you go out with nothing to hang your head about, because you know you went out there and gave maximum effort.
All right, so we're going to bring it back to Rock and Rye Robbie. I think he did open it up. I
want to see his teeth.
I want to see those teeth, man. Let's go to Rock.
Yeah.
Cheryl from Lincoln Park's gonna love that one. How was the taste? Was this your first Rock and Rye in a while?
It's the first one in a while. I really only.
I spent about. It was like $1.35 at the market.
Well, don't worry.
For one of them, I bought like 4 of them for you. So I know with inflation right now, it's a little up, but. Anyways.
Sean, you talked so much on this show about jerseys, right? We got to know a top 5 uniform list.
Oh, boy. We talked about this. We have talked about this. Forest Hills Northern Eastern has a good one.
Right off the top of my head, boy, you'd have to put. I love the Sailors jerseys.
You mentioned the powder blues.
Did I mention that I love Big Rapids jersey?
Yeah, because it's kind of Canadian.
Did I mention that I love Forest Hills Central's jerseys, because it's the same thing? It's got that kind of.
Oh, you liked the NAE too at one time. Remember the Kings logo?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. No, I mean that's the cool thing. There are so many great jerseys out there, so many great looks. I like when the teams throw out their different jerseys. Remember the old school Heartland logo?
Yes.
Like I told Coach Gadwell, roll with that all the time. I thought it was like straight out of 1970, right? So my old butt could relate to it. But no, honestly, there are so many great jerseys. Robbie, I'd have to sit down. Boy, to make a strong top 5, I'd have to sit down and actually write it out.
We got some news here dropped off from CC's black jersey. How about that?
The CC black jersey's pretty stinking cool.
Yeah, that was good when they showed it out against Brother Rice.
It's pretty stinking cool. So
shout out to Aaron Babbitts.
Yeah, he did. Boy, they do a good job putting out so many different unis.
They welcome us all the time at Catholic Center.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate everything they do. Best of luck to you guys as well.
All right, Robbie, you have some others?
No, that's going to be it. I do agree, though. The Heartland logo their old logo is so good.
Great logo.
I like when some teams do like the military appreciation, the breast cancer jerseys. So
the pink
a lot
ice.
of it's out there. Yeah, the pink outs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. No doubt. So there's a lot of different looks, and it gets everybody hyped up, right? I mean that's part of the beauty of hockey at this level.
So I know you said that you're going to be out at Novi Northville tomorrow. Any other games you're going to see this weekend?
I think I'm going to head to Eddie Edgar on Saturday. Saturday might be one of those busy days for me. I might head to a couple different places. I'm going to look at the schedule and everything. But that's the cool thing about this is there are lots of options for you. You drive 20 minutes this way, drive 25 minutes that way, drive a half hour that way. A lot of good options out there. If you can, go out and support this game. It is. I mean, if you're watching, you already know what I know and what I'm about to say. It's the best game on the earth, and it's pretty darn good at this level as well.
Well, the State Champs office is here in Southfield on the campus of Lawrence Technological University. And tomorrow, there's some regionals being played at the Birmingham Ice Arena just down the street. So I'm going to catch, Birmingham Unified taking on Riverview Gabriel Richard and Detroit Country Day taking on Grove Seal.
Pretty cool. No doubt about that, and It's nice that there are a lot of afternoon games and everything tomorrow, because I think a lot of people want to watch a certain hockey game in Boston tomorrow night.
So what's your take on that? Who's going to win?
You know what? This reminds me of the 2010 Olympics when the United States beat Canada in the prelims, and there was premature celebration all over the place, and then Canada won in the gold medal game. Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal. I fear that history repeats itself. Let's wait and see. Canada's goaltending, though, They could use a couple of guys in the high school ranks. Let's leave it at that.
But on the U.S. side, good to see Dylan Larkin, Detroit Red Wing, and he didn't play high school hockey for Waterford Mott, but he's a local kid making a big impact for the Red Wings.
Well, and listen, make no mistake about it, a guy that did play high school hockey is Connor Hellebuyck. And what was the knock against Connor Hellebuyck? It was, hey, great regular seasons, but when it's money time, his game falters. He's got a chance to put that to bed with a win tomorrow in Boston.
Yeah, and then lastly, I know we're trying to wrap this up, but we've talked about this, high school hockey, they do move on. The classic line that we heard from our pal Mike Vellucci, if you can play, they'll find you.
Yeah, as I said earlier, John, this is a situation where you're seeing more and more kids move to the OJ and move to the NAL and move to the USHL and then move to Division I. The numbers are there. There's a reason why we talk about it for the last few years. There's more here, and I think the Coach Association does a great job of focusing some of those players that were able to move on many different places from all over the state as well. And even moving some guys on to the National Hockey League. Wasn't that long ago that we saw Nick Blankenberg be a big part of a Romeo State championship? Nick, I think it's safe to say we all root for you and your career. Any kid that comes out of this level, I'm going to be a fan of that kid for the rest of his days.
Yeah, just like Jeremy Mayhew out of Rhinedout Roosevelt.
It was fantastic. I mean, that's going back to 2011 now. I mean, finally got there, finally got a chance to make it in the National Hockey League. And, John, even if you go play at the NAL or the USHL and you have an opportunity to go to a D1, D2, D3 to play college hockey, man, that's a W. It really is.
All right, so good luck to all the teams in the MHSA hockey tournament this winter. It's going to be a great 3 weeks, and that is it for State Champs Hockey Time Live, and we're going to do it again next week as we preview the regional finals.
I look forward to it always, because soon is coming the day where we're not going to do it again until November, and that brings infinite sorrow. So I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts.
State Champs Network is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Visit ltu.edu today. State Champs Hockey Time is powered by Alta Equipment Company, Michigan's #1 construction equipment provider with over 40 brands. Get the right equipment for your project every time. Warrior Hockey is proud to sponsor the Michigan High School Hockey Player and Goalie of the Year Award. Warrior Hockey is made for this. The Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association. For all things Michigan High School hockey, go to the Hub, mihshockeyhub.com. The Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. Reaction Technologies, up your game. Go to reactiontechnologies.com for more information.